Hey, this is Billy, the Permaculture Pimp Daddy, and I'm with Jordan and Josh from Working Aussies Homestead. Say that 10 times. I can't. Anyhow, these guys just happen to be rolling through. They live in North Carolina, and I think about 5 hours from here. And through Instagram or whatever means William used to find out where they were going to be, they just happen to be in Asheville, which is about 30 minutes away from where we're sitting right now. So anyway, through a series of cool events, they managed to show up here. And they don't know it yet, but we're about to put him to work. He does mechanic work, and we got a Dodge 2500 diesel out there that needs. They don't know it. We're on this porch right now, but they don't know it. But it's just me and William out here on the porch, and Michelle's in there hiding their bags and keys so they can't leave until the truck's fixed. So, with that said, these guys were rolling through, hoping and praying they can come by so we can make more friends, and it looks like that's what's happening now. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. Where do you live and what are you up to?
Okay. Well, we live outside of Dunn, North Carolina, which is right smack in between Raleigh and Fayetteville. We're actually about 7 minutes off 95. And we have a small homestead. We just have an acre and a quarter, but we raise both meat and egg-laying chickens. We also have turkeys occasionally. We raise rabbits, mini La Mancha dairy goats, and then we also have Kune pigs, and we raise Australian Shepherds.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What I find really cool is the area that you're doing it on. Everybody seems to think you need some wide, massive expanse of land to be able to do any kind of homesteading, but you guys are doing this. Maybe I think a lot of people out there would be really interested to know the scale in which you're working on and actually how much food you put back this year. Mm-hmm. Help us out there.
Yeah, so we also have about 2,000 square foot garden as well. And the nice thing is we live in a very flat area, so our property is nothing but flat, which is perfect for rotational grazing our animals, which is what we do. But last year, not counting anything other than just the chickens, we put up almost 850 pounds of chicken. We did 3 batches, and the most we did was 75 birds in one of the batches. But we also do rabbits. We processed 6 rabbits last year, and then this year we're hoping to put 2 of our pigs up in the freezer, but it's just the 2 of us, so we don't need a lot. But this past January and February, we actually did the 3 Rivers Challenge. 3 Rivers Homestead put out a challenge of not going to the grocery store, for most of your food products for those 2 months, and saving on your grocery bill so that you can use that saved money on homestead projects, but just really focusing on eating out of your freezer and pantry. And so we did that the last 2 months. We've ate off of a $100 grocery bill budget.
Okay, so that's what I found interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, because when I was looking and I was kind of catching up on your YouTube channel, I was astonished. I'm like, hold on, man. I think they got the numbers messed up here as far as, but that was legit. I mean,
that was legit.
So we do a budget video every month, and what we usually end up doing is we set it the month before, or set it at the beginning of the month, and at the end we'll go back and we'll update everything. So if there is something that we were off, you'll be able to see it there at the end of the month or the start of the next budget. You'll see we'll update everything.
So that was $100 for the month?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And we only went $3 over in January, and with that challenge, you kind of set your own rules. So you say, all right, this is what we're going to spend the money on. This is what we're not going to spend the money on. And so one thing that we didn't grow enough of and didn't put enough up of was potatoes.
Which, I don't know about you, but I don't think we'll ever grow enough potatoes. So.
Yeah, we love our potatoes.
Oh my goodness, so do we. But man, when I looked at $100 grocery bill, I'm like, man, I go through that on just toilet paper for William in a month. So I'm like, does he have teeth in his butt? I don't know.
Okay, first of all, he's lying. That $100 in toilet paper is all going to him.
Well, okay. And the other thing, so with that garden, I think we can honestly say last year being our first year, we probably had 50% of our vegetables, and then with everything else, we did 65% of all of our food. There are certain things, obviously, we can't grow that we like to eat.
I'd say we probably did closer to 80% of raising our own food by the end of last year.
So how long have y'all been at this before you achieved that level of success? and I'm weaving a tapestry here. I'm asking because there are record numbers right now of people that are getting into permaculture, homesteading, preparedness. At this place, we do the best we can to make an amalgamation of all of them. But there are record numbers of people getting into this. How long were you guys into this before you were able to achieve this level of self-sufficiency concerning your food?
So we started August 2019 is when we started the homestead. And
December of 2019 was when we processed our first batch of meat birds, and our garden was kind of a bust.
So in scarcely that time till now, you were able to put back enough meat, honestly, to feed an entire platoon for 2 months.
Oh yeah, we've got 2 full freezers right now.
That's astonishing.
And, you know, for us, 1 chicken is at least 3 to 4 meals, and you know, for that, that means all the world. And so we're super excited this year. I have a goal to put back at least 6 months from our garden of food for us, whether that's freezing, whether that's dehydrating, whether that's canning. That's kind of my goal, is to put back 6 months worth of food for us.
And I'll say this too, like, because you say 3 meals, and probably most people are like, well, I eat a lot of meat, so that's not 3 meals. That's us eating our first set of meat, which is probably a half a bird, a second set of meat, which is the other half, and then whatever's left over for scraps, we'll make the bone broth and then put the pulled chicken or anything into like a soup. So it's not just straight meat.
So you guys really squeeze the chicken. I mean, so now I guess I'm starting to get to the bottom of the mystery of the $100 per month on toilet paper, because William will eat a whole chicken in one meal. So
well, part of it too, I guess, is also, you know, if we want to be dedicated to eating our food, it also kind of changes our diet and changes what we eat. You know, before we were buying so much meat at the grocery store, and now we have a lot more meals that are just vegetable based. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we still love our meat, but when you raise it differently, you know, we still love how our chicken tastes, best chicken we've ever had. But there's also that mindset of, you know, we don't have to eat so much meat, because I feel like where the food system is, the meat that you buy at the grocery store kind of makes you hungrier, you know?
I would definitely agree with that. But look, if I'm ever out your way and I'm coming over for dinner, don't make it one of those vegetarian nights.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. We're not saying that either. But, like, I think there's this thing where, like, we probably eat less meat than we did before, but only because, like, we know what it takes to get it to the plate. We also know, like, just, like, how many you can get out of it. You're not over consuming anymore.
Right.
It's not just, well, and you think about that, like, you go to the store, you're probably either just getting breasts, or you're just getting drumsticks. This is the whole bird. So you've got to figure out how to eat all of it. Or else it's going to go to the pigs, or it's going to go somewhere else.
Right, and you guys have the ability also, I'm sure you've done it. I mean, you break them down if you need to. Let's say you're making a dish that maybe doesn't require a whole chicken. Maybe you can break it down, or it's kind of cool that when you do that, you're right. I mean, it opens you up to so many other things. Like, for example, one of the high-end butcher shops in town, if you buy what they call chicken backs, which is basically a carcass, I'm like, oh my goodness, man. I mean, you're looking at $5 to buy a carcass that you guys have plenty of already that you raised. So I really want to hit on that, because the number of people that are getting into this, as I said a moment ago, are just, it's extraordinary, the number of people, the overtures that we get of people that are thinking about doing it. What advice would you give to those folks that are just starting out? Maybe they have limited means. Maybe they don't right now. Maybe they don't have necessarily jobs. What advice could you give to those people that are just getting off the ground? If you could just kind of in a soundbite, what would you tell them as far as pointing their steps in the direction of getting to where you are now?
You go first.
I think a lot of it is just learning to be a little bit more frugal and kind of being flexible in terms of what you're willing to do for this lifestyle. You know, for us, we really started it based off of, you know, a medical condition and like seeing the absolute need for a lifestyle change. You know, it's not easy, but when you give 110% into it, you see so many, you know, you reap so much more in the benefits and rewards from it. And I think that's one of the things too, is you don't need a whole lot of money to do this. That's partly why we do our budget videos every month, to
I love
show
it. I love it.
that you can cash flow it. You know, we try to keep we try to keep our feed bill under $400 every single month. And
which is a lot, but in the sense of
we're not spending $400 at the grocery store.
yeah.
You know,
And
so
also,
there's
I mean,
that
we have
trade-off.
we have a ton of animals. I mean, I could sit here and tell you the numbers, but I mean, we have a ton of animals,
Yeah.
and so
We
400
have
sounds
over
like a
100
lot,
animals.
but it's not when you divvy it up between all the animals.
So budgeting is that's one of the big pieces of advice that you would give to people out there.
I would also
Getting into
say budgeting, and then also like find the thing you eat the most or you enjoy the most, and start there. Like for us, it was we enjoy meat. You know, we're meat eaters. That's just we'll call it what it is. So it was what can we grow the most of for that meat? You know, if you can't raise chickens, then what's the next thing? Is it vegetables? Then yeah, get a big garden going. You know, that kind of thing, because that's going to come out in the long run. You're going to transfer that to somewhere else. So if you're raising all these vegetables, you're not going to the store to get those. If you're raising all this meat, you're not going to go to the store to get that. That's money almost back in your pocket. You know, it's like it's transferring to different things, and that's my advice for that.
Let me kind of back up a little bit, because one of the biggest attractive things I thought that I loved about your YouTube channel, and it was, I'll be honest with you, the extent to which you guys laid yourself bare in terms of your finances, because I don't think it's discussed enough. I don't think, I mean, people might make certain assumptions about where we are and how we live, but they don't realize the level of budgeting. And we're all big fans of Dave Ramsey here, which I did not know when I mentioned yesterday in the video. We've taken a lot of what he said and a number of others, but I think because a lot of the folks that have reached out to me over the years and said, man, I'd really love to homestead. I'd really love to do that. And then when I looked at their lifestyle, they were driving brand new vehicles. They were making payments on. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but there is a certain degree of trade-off, at least in my world, and I'm assuming that in yours as well, that if you want that brand new vehicle, there's parts of this lifestyle you can never have.
Yeah.
Or if you have a piece of land or a house that is in orbit in terms of price, well, you're not, there's a give and take for all this. And that's what I think is so awesome about your channel, is that you discuss that stuff and you lay it. I was sitting there going through the numbers thinking, come on, man, that can't be right. And I live this lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness, this is astonishing. And I think that is a wonderful thing. If people out there, if you haven't, I can think of a pretty colossal list of reasons as to why you should subscribe to these guys. But believe it or not, if you're on your way just starting out, that is one of the chief reasons I can think of, is that it gives you a level of budgeting that in order to make this lifestyle work, and I think I know that we've not covered it and completely neglected it on our channel, but that's one of the areas where I think you guys are an enormous help, because it's showing how you have to delegate the dollars you have to make this thing work.
Yeah.
The reason we started doing the budgeting stuff was, you know, you've been in this for a long time. People will usually tell you to start debt-free. And then you've got these people over here who are not debt-free. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, well, so I have to wait to get here to even start until I'm debt-free? Or what if I'm never debt-free? I think we wanted to bridge that gap to be like, okay, well, maybe you don't start off with all of that, but you can start with this little piece, with this much money allocated each month. It's still doable.
Yeah.
You know, you might not be doing everything that they can do, but now you can kind of see somebody doing that. And I know there are other people that do that, but that was just what we wanted to.
I thought it was, I think that is I think that's one of the coolest things that I've never, ever seen on a homestead channel that lays it as bare as you do, because now anybody that's thinking about getting into this space can say, okay, now they have a basis of comparison that they can work with that you guys are very upfront about. Mm-hmm. I think it's cool. I think it's original. I mean, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, that's something that we wanted to be was, you know, we're like, if we're putting our life out there on YouTube anyways, why not be transparent about everything? You know, and there's definitely, like, with raising the puppies and selling the puppies, we're like, should we put that in the budget? Or, you know, because that money's going straight to the debt. And, you know, it was like, yeah, like, this is part of our life. Like, yeah, we're making, you know, way more this month than we do typically. But that's just how we're doing things in this season. And, part of our goal this year specifically is to be more self-sufficient. And what makes us more self-sufficient? Well, adding a couple males to the homestead. So adding, a male goat and adding a male pig so that it can be 100%
There you go.
self-sufficient. We are self-sufficient with our rabbits and with our chickens. We can hatch out some more chicks if we want and raise them for meat instead of eggs.
The only thing we're not self-sufficient with is our meat chickens. I mean,
And toilet paper.
yeah. Totally.
Yeah. But hey,
He might be able to
All about the toilet paper.
we gotta talk about these dogs, because that's the title of your. It's kind of it because there's so much more going on there than just the Aussies, the dogs you work with. Why don't you tell everybody out there this other component? Because if it were just homesteading and budgeting, folks, you could get an enormous amount from these guys. But there's also something else in there that I would be totally remiss if I didn't bring it up, and Michelle would probably kill me if we didn't talk about the puppies. So why don't you tell us what you're doing?
That's
there?
all you, baby.
Okay.
Go for it.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, we got our first Australian Shepherds, and raising puppies was something that we both kind of wanted to do. And we had our first litter in 2018, and we ended up keeping 2 of the boys from that litter. So then we had 4 dogs. And one of our dogs is a rescue that we adopted back in December 2019. She's a deaf dog.
Sweet as can be, by the way.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She loves anyone and everyone. You can take her home. But so part of this program was, if you guys are into Dave Ramsey at all, he talks a lot about, well, if your money's not adding up, then you need a bigger shovel. You need to add in some extra income. And so a couple of the ways that we thought about doing that was, well, if we, raise Australian Shepherds and we create a program and we, cross all of our T's and dot all of our I's and raise them responsibly and do a socializing program, that can be a part of our shovel. And so, if you guys go and look at some of our older videos, our last litter that we had last year, all of the money from that, we cash flowed raising the puppies, which is expensive. Also like doing all of the vet bills and everything, is all of that went to pay off on our loans. So we paid off $26,000 last year, despite 2 job changes, despite, a job loss and a serious pay cut. We were able to do that. And so that was one of the things that we had talked about, was that's going to be part of our shovel. And another thing we do to kind of go back to homesteading is to help with our feed bill, is we do sell our eggs, and we are able to sell some of our meat chickens, and that kind of breaks it up a little bit. They don't completely pay for themselves, but it helps. But
I think going back to the dogs thing, the thing that you really wanted, because I think sometimes you get a bad rap when you're like, well, that's our new shovel. Some people think that is a bad rap, but we do it just like our homestead. It's the best of the best. So we do an ENS program, which is based off of these high-end breeders for police dogs or army dogs or whatever, to help with stress. So we do that to help out with their new owners and their new situations. And we vet all of our new people, and it's just like, it's her passion.
Well, and then part of this, a lot of the people that are most critical in this space are the ones that are doing absolutely nothing. Hint, hint. You're out there, but those people, I'm just floored every time I meet another homesteader, because in these times it's tougher to have sit downs with people like yourselves and be in a space to where all of us can be together, which is, when we have these gatherings like HOA and several of the others, it's something of a quickening where we can all get together and exchange ideas and things like that. So I just think that what you guys are doing, not only with your farm and with your dogs and the it's showing what's possible with just a little bit of imagination and thinking outside the box. 2 things that just jump right off the page. Like I said, you're already maintaining a legit homestead that's feeding you, but you're also building in this other enterprise, or what Joel Salatin would call other fiefdoms, part of the same kingdom you have, but a different section of it. You're all going to it's a different thing over here, a different thing over here, a thing in the middle, and they all converge doing the same thing. And in fact, putting money in your pockets and fulfilling a passion for you. So that, I can't think of a better way of going about this. So
There's nothing quite like raising puppies.
oh my goodness. Yeah, we got one upstairs and he's wearing me out.
Trust
But
me, there's nothing like seeing her face when they all leave.
I delivered a puppy up to Philadelphia this time, and this puppy, he was the biggest ham bone. You could kiss on him, he would not kiss you back. He'd be like, I'll just take all the love. And I went and I dropped him off, and I went to say goodbye, and he licked all over my face. And I turned around and I just lost it. I'm like, I can't look back.
So this is like an 80s music video on the way out, man, it's raining in the background, the guy's looking out the window singing. I can only imagine.
I bawled.
Oh my
bawled
goodness.
so much.
I do not envy that part of your job. I do not. But I do applaud what you guys are able to do in a astonishingly fast period of time, that you're able to do so many things. It's been a real pleasure to have both of you out here, and feel free to come by anytime. Maybe check us out in the summer when things are green. Maybe not in the winter. I'm wearing a t-shirt, but it is winter, y'all. It's been a real pleasure to have them out here. Why don't you tell everybody out there how to get a hold of you?
Okay, yeah. So you can reach us on YouTube, Working Aussies Homestead. We also have a website, Facebook page, and Instagram, all Working Aussies Homestead. So.
Well, it's been a real pleasure to have them out here. Folks, check them out. We'll leave some links in the notes here and all that good stuff. I'm not a tech guy, so I barely know what I'm saying when I'm talking about any of this stuff. So hit the subscribe bell, the button, the bells, and all that kind of stuff. You know what it is.
All the bells and whistles.
That's right. So you know we got a new video out. I don't know what any of that stuff means. My tech guy behind the camera, my son handles all that. So until next time, folks, this is Billy, the Permaculture Pimp Daddy, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. We'll see you next time.